Why is Brier Creek one of the most in-demand areas in Raleigh? Hi, I'm Domingo with eXp Realty, and today I'm going to rank Brier Creek on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. I'm going to break it down into 3 different categories. Number 1 being the housing options, number 2 being the job options, and number 3 being the amenities and lifestyle. Now, I'm doing a little bit of a different format in this week's video. Fortunately, I realized that after recording a little bit using my Insta, the audio cut out. So unfortunately, I'm just going to be using that as B-roll. But regardless, you should get a pretty good idea of the area. So with that, let's get into it. So starting out with the housing options, Brier Creek has townhomes, condos, and detached single-family residencies ranging anywhere from 300,000s all the way up to the 1.2 millions. So just some initial context to set things up, the median sales price of a home in Raleigh is roughly $445,000. So I'm going to show homes that are below the median sales price, at the median sales price, and then above the median sales price. So first off, we have 7894 Spungold Street. This and the next listing are both located in Alexander Place, which is a small townhome community located in the north side of Brier Creek. So this home in particular is listed at $340,000, and it consists of 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, at 1,757 square feet. If you take a look at the outside of the home, you can see that it's well maintained, and turning over to the street, the common areas are also maintained, meaning that your HOA dues that you're paying annually are actually going towards maintaining the area. This is also a pretty typical look for the townhomes in Northwest Raleigh. So really the last comment on this one is that for 3 bedrooms and 4 baths at that square footage is a huge win. If you were to go to other parts of Raleigh, like let's say East Raleigh, which is where I live, the ones that are really well maintained at this price point is just super old and a little bit functionally obsolete. For example, just having 1 bathroom for 3 bedrooms. Moving on to the next home, we have 7619 Winter's Edge Street. This one's listed at $366,900 and consists of also 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. But in this instance, it is about 250 square feet bigger. So that brings us to a total of 1,995. And this is an end unit, so it might be a little bit of a unique design. Now again, the outside is more or less the same as the previous one. And then I go on to explain that I did swing by the clubhouse on the way over here, and it's within walking distance of this. So here I'm pointing over to the left. You can't see it in the frame, but it's just behind that home. It's a small little building and consists of a community pool. And so at this point, I'm just giving some of my closing thoughts. More or less, Alexander Place is exactly what I was hoping for. I was going to show a generally well-maintained area with affordable housing and generally safe. And you can't hear it in the video, but it's actually fairly quiet, even though it's really close to a main road. It's also roughly about 5 minutes from the closest grocery store. All right, so next up we have the medium priced homes. So these are homes orbiting the 445,000 mark. The first home that I visited was actually supposed to be a detached single family residency, but I actually drove past it. So instead I ended up first at this condo, and I was completely lost, if I'm being honest. I showed up exactly where the GPS pointed me, which is more or less this back lot area for people to pull into their garage. So I was assuming that the condo was a street facing condo and you simply could access the garage from the back. So I ended up just parking my truck there, and I move over to the edge over here just to show you what the actual front of these townhomes look like, or these condos look like. And the design of this neighborhood in particular I felt was pretty well done. Now it's obviously tight, so if you don't like living close to other people, then this isn't for you. But the condo that I was trying to show is $465,000. It is a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,717 square feet. So more expensive, but this particular area is a little bit more within walking distance of some amenities. And it also has a clubhouse with a pool. So at this point, I realized that I had missed the detached home, so I take a second to talk about that. And since I didn't have any footage, I'm going to show you the Zillow listing here. This home goes for $400,000. It's a 3 bedroom, 3 bath, 1,600 square feet. For this particular home, I wanted to serve it as an example of how much your money is going to go for you for a detached home here. So it's actually cheaper than the condo, and I don't know if it has an HOA. Condos, townhomes, you will have an HOA, but it squeezes in an extra bedroom, extra bathroom, but is 100 square feet less. So more or less the vibe that I'm getting from that is it's trying to provide you extra office room or an extra room that you could rent out at the cost of cramming things together more closely. And so the last place that I went to is 10119 Glen Autumn Road. Now, this area is located right across from the community center, right down the road from the elementary school. And the homes here definitely have a style to it. I actually think this one is the biggest bang for the buck. The listing price is $455,000, 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, 2,083 square feet. So it's the most beds, the most baths, the largest square footage wise of the 2 other medium options, and it's still not even the most expensive of the 3. So again, because it's a townhome, pretty cramped, but overall the outside is maintained very well. The streets are pretty clean, And again, despite being close to a major road, it still is fairly quiet. And so that wraps up the median sales price homes. And so I move on to finish with the above median sales price homes. The first one I go to is 9228 Meadow Mist Court. This is listed at $850,000, 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, 3,114 square feet. And clearly it's a detached home. And so you can see the outside is very well maintained, and right across the street from it is the golf course. This and the next listing that I show are both in Brier Creek Country Club. And as I was filming this, I actually paused for a second because the bus stop, if you have kids, literally brought the kids right up to that house. So convenient spot for family, very safe, very quiet neighborhood. All of the common areas are well maintained, meaning your HOA fees are actually going towards something. And so jumping over to the final home, 1083-7 Roundbrook Circle. This one is listed at $1.25 million, 5 bedrooms, 4 bath, 4,370 square foot. This one is also located right next to the golf course. I'm just noticing that it is, again, very well maintained, but also that it goes for a very specific choice in style. Whereas a lot of the more modern homes use vinyl, they leaned all in on the brick. And they also make use of the columns at the entrance for a more traditional architectural style. And so wrapping up the housing options, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Now, nothing is truly perfect because that also still comes down to preference, but the reason I'm giving it 5 out of 5 is because it has the full range of options. It has high quality options below, at, and above the median sales price. And so what this allows you to do is if you want to plant roots here and you end up loving it there, you buy an entry level home and work your way up so that, let's say, your kids aren't constantly changing school districts, or you can maintain the same job and commute. Or if you're really involved in the community, you could stay involved with that exact community. And so with that, I could definitely see why people favor Brier Creek. So moving on to the work options, which I talk about this a lot. If you see my Northwest Raleigh tour, then you're going to see a lot of common trends that I mentioned. But the broad overview is that because of the central location and proximity to the Research Triangle Park, or RTP, Brier Creek has a plethora of jobs available. The top industries are going to be biotech, retail, and government. So the bio and tech industries are what the Triangle is most known for. Originally, the Triangle was coined after a research agreement between the 3 major universities. So with that, you have a lot of Duke University presence there. You have Lenovo, IQVIA, Cisco, IBM, and many other companies. As for retail, this one's a bit more obvious, but the Brier Creek Commons is a massive outdoor shopping center that's located right off of Brier Creek Road. And then also you have Crabtree Creek Mall, which is roughly 5 to 10 minute drive towards downtown Raleigh. And then as for the government jobs, because Raleigh is the state capital, you're going to get both state and city government jobs. For city, this could either be Morrisville, Cary, Durham, Chapel Hill, Raleigh, pretty much any of the surrounding suburbs. And so there's a very high density compared to the rest of the state for government here. Now, the average commute by household, which I actually don't know how the government of Raleigh tracks this, but they do, is roughly 25 to 30 minutes. I was filming this right before rush hour, and I could definitely echo that in the later part of the day, it gets very busy. Now, transportation is very car dependent. There is a public transportation sector within Raleigh run by Go Raleigh, but it's not very extensive. For the vast majority, unless you just happen to live right next to where you work, you will almost certainly need a car. Now, for those that are remote workers, there are co-working spaces located in and around the Brier Creek area. These could range from $45 a day all the way up to $250 a month if you want an extended reservation. And then for those that remote work but don't want to use the co-working spaces, one thing that's worth pointing out is that a lot of these homes are actually well designed for working at home. The case in point being one of the below median sales price homes, like let's say the very first one, $340K, 3 beds, 4 baths. That home would also be a good starting home for a young professional who wants to convert one of the bedrooms into an office. And then jumping to the medium homes, you have the 4 bedroom, 4 bath one. Again, very easy to convert one into an office. So overall, I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the one thing that's preventing me from giving it a full 5 out of 5 stars is the dependency on your own vehicle. If Raleigh were to improve the public transportation, making it more accessible, more economic for people to access the workplaces, then I would bump this up to a 5 out of 5 stars. So the last section is lifestyle. I'm going to break this down into amenities, education, health, and wellness. As for amenities, I was originally filming this at the Brier Creek Commons to show you what the general area looks like, which you can still see here from the shot. I'm sitting on one of the park benches, but more or less around me is an outdoor mall. There's also a grocery store further down the road and a hotel. So this type of look is more or less what you could expect of most of the outdoor malls that are triangle wide. But it's also roughly 5 to 10 minutes away from the city's largest indoor shopping center, which is the Crabtree Creek Mall. And like I mentioned before, it also has a Brier Creek Community Center, which is a bit more robust than I actually thought it would be. It sort of reminded me of like a YMCA, but of course a bit more community focused. So hosting sports, events, and things of that nature. It's right next to a park, so you could easily walk around. And then adjacent to that as well is a school. The kids sports programs that I saw at the community center, and because I'm a rock climber, I see just how strong the kids climbing team is, and the prevalence of sports and integration with the universities makes this area great for families. Wake County School Systems is regarded as one of the best in the state and across the nation, scoring above average on all standardized tests. They also have great auxiliary programs, whether it be for entrepreneurship, tech, bio, robotics, things like that. But then beyond that, the options for universities and higher education is also abundant. Now, the most three common is Duke University, NC State, and UNC Chapel Hill, but there is also a plethora of other universities and colleges located throughout the triangle. This in turn feeds the job market, and more or less what you could then see made is a pretty steady stream from K through 12 all the way until employment. So for those who really love Raleigh, which I know is not for everybody, but for those who do, you could stay here as a kid and be pretty set for pretty much your entire life. Now for health and wellness, this was not the most extensive in terms of commercial options, but due to places like Umstead Park and the general walkability on the residential areas, it's fairly easy to stay in shape. Some of the commercial gyms are Orange Theory Fitness, O2 Fitness, various run clubs around the area, of course Triangle Rock Club, and like I mentioned, Umstead Park. Probably the most popular one here is the Country Club, which obviously caters to all age types. So with all that being said, I also give Lifestyle 4.5 out of 5 stars, with the same reason being it doesn't have extensive public transportation to truly make this a 5 out of 5. So in conclusion, averaging out all the ratings, we come out with a 4.7 out of 5 stars. And my biggest props to Brier Creek is the well-rounded nature of it. It's centrally located, so it has access to a lot of the amenities. It's pretty easy to stay active and healthy. And it's a great location for families, young professionals without kids, college-age students, and retirees. More specifically, it's not just that it has housing options for all of these, it has affordable options across the full spectrum. That wraps it up for today's video. Join me again next week for another neighborhood tour, and this time I'm going to make sure that my microphone doesn't go to sleep, or if it does, I remember to wake it up. Thank you. Happy holidays. See you next time.